From playing violins alongside dancing bears to surviving the Holocaust, Bizzely's ancestors endured unimaginable trials. His family are Sinti. The Sinti have lived in Germany and surroundings since the 1300s, often leading nomadic lives while facing persecution. Frequently confused with the Roma and mislabeled as gypsies, they remain one of the continent's most misunderstood communities. So, who are the Sinti? Check out this 3-part series on the Sinti and their extraordinary story, one of both profound pain and exquisite artistry.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Sujatha.
Do you dream of hitting the open road?
Of the adventures and eclectic people you run across on the way? Are you waiting for the right moment, the right shot of courage?
I thought that. In 2016, I had a stroke. But then in 2022, we got married, and now we're traveling the world, enjoying adventure and romance.
Bizzely, a graduate student of Indology near Stuttgart, has recently taken up the violin, striving to follow in his grandfather's footsteps. Historically, his family maintained the Sinti tradition of fair dancing and violin playing.
Because the violin you see here has belonged to the father of my grandmother. His name was Bisan, his Sinti name. I want to preserve that family memory, that collective family memory. I want to preserve our tradition in like playing violin. That's why I want to play it also.
For years, Bizzely denied his Sinti heritage.
My father told me in school, when I was entering the school, do not ever say that you are Sinti, because they will bully you. I got bullied, but not because I was Sinto, because I didn't say that I was Sinto. I was hiding my own identity for about 16 years in my life. I felt ashamed to a certain level, which is awful. And I am lucky that I came over that and that I realized my father himself is a child of his own time. He was raised up in the 50s, the 60s. Racism and the former Nazis were still alive, and racism, anti-Ziganism was more out there. The second persecution I told you about earlier. He was afraid that things like that would have happened to me.
After years of distancing himself from his roots, Bizzely now takes immense pride in his heritage. He wants to connect deeply with his ancestors, who hailed from the Sindh region in modern-day Pakistan. The Sindh province, with its iconic Indus River and capital Karachi. According to Bizzely's research, the Sinti likely migrated before the Arab invasion, fleeing as war refugees. Some believe the name Sinti derives from Sindh. Others link it to the German word Reisender, or traveler. For Bizzely, this legacy is a source of inspiration.
So, Sinti basically means people of the river of Sindhu. And that's where we were settled. And there have been a lot of kingdoms, like the Rai dynasty. And Rai is up to this day a common word within the Sinti community in Germany or in other European countries. And after that, we had the Chach dynasty. And Chach is very similar to the Sinti word Chachaba, meaning truth. And in Hindi, you say such, for example. And that's very beautiful to see their similarities.
Despite their common South Asian origins, Bizzely emphasizes that the Sinti and Roma are distinct, having migrated separately from the subcontinent. Despite this, both groups were historically mislabeled as gypsies, a term now recognized as a racial slur. In Germany, the word Zigeuner or gypsy was used as a racial classification under the Nazi regime to target Sinti and Roma for extermination.
No matter how much they called us with the Z slur or with the G slur, we always stuck to the term, to our name, to our ancient name, Sinti. We never said that we are gypsies. We stayed true to our name.
While the Sinti have lived in Germany for generations, many Roma are more recent immigrants to Germany.
And they were first times written down in papers in Germany in the year 1407 in the city of Hildesheim. And that was the first time someone mentioned them in a book and noted them down. But we have lived much more longer inside the German-speaking countries, because Germany, as it exists today, has not existed at the time. And so we Sinti live more than 600 years inside the land, inside the country that is today called Germany.
Halina Reinhardt, who works with the Sinti and Roma Union in Hamburg, a group providing services for both communities, is herself Sinti.
Sinti sind ja die eigentlich in Deutschland auch schon über 600 Jahre sesshaft sind. Ne, die sind einfach hier in Deutschland geblieben, sind hier aufgewachsen, sind hier zu Schulen teilweise gegangen. Und bei den Roma ist es so, die sind dann mehr in den Balkanländern gegangen. Die sind dort ausgewandert, zum Beispiel in Serbien, in Ukraine und wo überall in den Balkanländern. Und da unterscheidet sich aber auch nochmal die Sprache, ne?
In historical times, the Sinti, like the Roma, were often nomadic, although today most Sinti live sedentary lifestyles reminiscent of their neighbors.
My paternal, from my grandmother's side, they were beer dancers. So my great-grandfather played the violin and the beer danced. Yeah, my grandparents, they were nomadic at the summer times when they were young. And since 1937, they lived in a house. And we still live in a house. And in the 70s, there was a lot of assimilation policy by the German government against nomadic life of Sinti people. And so the culture of being nomadic and also to trade has faded away. Some Sinti families out here are going with the caravans in the summer holidays, but the most live in houses or flats. And there are a very small amount of Sinti and Roma people who don't have a house and live in caravans, but mostly in France.
But Bizzely and Reinhardt agree, being nomadic wasn't always a choice.
Naja, das war auch, eigentlich wird das immer so benannt, dass sie reisen, aber sie wurden von der Geschichte her immer vertrieben und verfolgt. Sie waren nie irgendwo gern gesehen, dass sie sesshaft bleiben konnten. Sie waren immer auf Flucht. Das ist einfach so, das war nicht einfach schön, mit dem Wagen wo herumzureisen oder sonstiges. Sie waren einfach auf Flucht, ne? Und dann erst viel, viel später nach dem Krieg und alles, da ging es dann erstmal so langsam los, dass die Leute hier, wie die Sinti, sich hier in Deutschland dann langsam eine Wohnung gesucht haben und dann auch so geblieben sind.
In Germany, most Sinti are Christian, but through their migration to Europe, some converted to Islam, but others were persecuted by Christian Roman Catholic and Orthodox churches. Bizzely believes that the Sinti were Christian well before they migrated into Europe. But as Bizzely talked about Sinti traditions, there was an uncanny familiarity with something from my past. It sounded like he was speaking about Hindu traditions.
They also have a marriage like that. I forgot the name of the marriage, but they also stay in nature. When they return, they are married. That's like my grandparents have married. And sometimes there's also old histories that in the past the Sinti also walked around the fire 3 times.
Oh.
That's like in Hinduism.
Yeah.
And yeah,
that is very Hindu.
Om Indraya Swaha Idam Namaha. Om Agnaye Swaha. Idam Agnaye.
Here's Jeff and me at our Hindu wedding, walking around the fire 7 times, a key ritual in Hinduism. Later, I learned that although the Sinti left South Asia centuries ago, traces of Hinduism still survive among them.
Many things indicate that we believed in Shiva, like Shivaism. And God means Baro Devil, similar to Bara Devara. The cross of Jesus, Drusha, like the scepter of Shiva, Trishula. And many things.
In my Bengali tradition, no holiday is more sacred than Durga Puja, the grand celebration of the goddess of war and divine strength. On the festival's final day, we immerse Durga, or Kali as she's sometimes called, into water, a ritual both joyous and heartbreaking. Imagine my surprise when I found myself in Saint-Marie-de-la-Mer in the south of France, witnessing the pilgrimage to Saint Sarah. There, the Sinti and Roma carry her into the water in a ritual that felt hauntingly familiar. Some believe this tradition echoes an ancient reverence for Kali, a vestige of Hinduism.
And Sarah is said to be either of Sinti or Roma origin, maybe of Indian origin. It is a black Madonna. And she collected money. She did a lot of effort when the 3 Marias were persecuted in the Holy Land. They went to southern France, and together with her, they managed to survive and also opened the first Christian community there. And every year, the Sinti and Roma from all around Europe gather together to also put the Saint Gardizara into the water, which is also what we can see in parts in India or many parts of India and parts in Pakistan, where also the goddess Kali is sent to water.
And that's not the only remnant of their long journey from the subcontinent. Their language traces its roots to Sanskrit, the ancient tongue of Hindu scriptures, and the ancestor of many South Asian languages. The Sinti language has occasionally also incorporated words from the various language groups encountered during their migrations. Because of his interest in his ancestors, he produces videos in Sinti and German on his YouTube channel. But there is another unusual addition.
सभी को नमस्ते मैं बहुत खुश हूँ कि आप मेरे नए
Hindi.
YouTube वीडियो देख
Bizzely
रहे हैं।
taught himself Hindi and wants to make links from people from India and the subcontinent.
सिंधियों का स्वागत करना चाहूँगा।
And our language remained at the level of the 8th century when it comes to the Indian vocabularies. And we went through Persia, Armenia, to Greece, through the Balkan, Germany, France. And there also we adopted some loanwords from the regional languages into our language. But if you speak high Sinti language, then 80% is of Indian origin.
And what's fascinating is that even though the language of the Roma, the other historically nomadic group originating in India, is also based on Sanskrit, the two groups have very distinct languages.
Sinti and Roma can't communicate to each other, with each other, without any problems.
Und da unterscheidet sich aber auch nochmal die Sprache, ne? Die sprechen nochmal Romanes anders mit anderen Dialekt als wir in Deutschland, die Sinti, ne? Also wir verstehen uns, aber man merkt von der Sprache trotzdem, dass es nochmal da ein Unterschied auch ist.
Listen to Django Reinhardt. It's the same melody, but what a difference in interpretation.
You may have heard of the Manouche, like in Manouche jazz. Manouche are a Sinti group with roots in France and Germany. In fact, Bizzely is Manouche, and his family's language includes French words.
And my family Schneck, was a Sinti family who moved in the year 1844 from France to Germany. The Manouche comes from the Sanskrit word Manushya, means human. And those are French-speaking Sinti. Sinti that have lived in France for a very for a very long period. And my tribe are the Wittenbergarier.
In World War I, as France and Germany went to war with each other, Sinti got caught up in the conflict.
Sinti, for example, also in the war between France and Germany. In the First World War, my great-grandfather was Sinti from Germany, and he fought against France. And the French Sinti fought for France against the Germans, and within the German army were German Sinti. So the Sinti also fought against each other because they were aligned to the countries they lived in, and also felt patriotic for the countries they have lived in. They saw themselves as French, they saw themselves as Germans, even up to this day. My great-grandfather died for Germany, for the so-called Deutsches Kaiserreich. And his wife was murdered in Auschwitz as a thank of the Germans. That's the way they thanked our people and my family, that we have done for that country. And the Sinti in France, they were also kept in camps, like prisoner camps, because they were seen as spies. As you said, because they traveled, they were nomadic, and for the French government, it was not only because they viewed them as spies, it was also because they hated Sinti people, and they just wanted to have a legitimate reason to put them into a camp.
Because of Sinti's history, the language is in peril.
The Sinti language is an endangered language to die out soon. It's not died out yet. And on the one hand, it's also taboo to teach the Sinti language to outsiders because it's for us, it's a safe space. We have nothing. We have no country. Our customs, our cultures are, Indian. They are also very European, pretty much European. The only thing that we have is our name, Sinti, and our language, which nobody should take away.
The thrill of the road does not end with a stroke. Come travel with us.
Please subscribe to our channel, Fierce Travel, and ring the bell for more notifications.
So do it.
Coming up, tragedies. Oppression of Sinti people didn't begin or end with the Holocaust.